Captain Sarah Phoenix Martinez walked through the corridors of Naval Air Station Oceana with the confidence that came from 8 years of flying the most advanced fighter jet in the world. Her flight suit bore the patches of countless missions, and her eyes held the steady gaze of someone who had seen combat and emerged victorious. At 29, she was one of only 12 female F-22 Raptor pilots in the entire United States Air Force, a distinction that came with both pride and constant scrutiny. The morning briefing room buzzed with the usual chatter of pilots preparing for another day of training exercises. Sarah took her seat among her squadron mates, checking her mission parameters on the tablet before her. The F-22 Raptor program had been her life's ambition since she first saw one of the sleek, angular aircraft perform at an air show when she was 16. Now, after years of rigorous training and proving herself in multiple deployments, she commanded respect from her peers and subordinates alike. Admiral Robert Hawkins entered the briefing room with his characteristic stern expression. A veteran of 3 decades in the Navy, he carried himself with the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed without question. His reputation preceded him wherever he went. A traditionalist who believed in old-school military values and had little patience for what he considered modern accommodations. Behind his back, younger officers whispered that he belonged to a different era, one where certain people knew their place. "Ladies and gentlemen," Admiral Hawkins began, his voice carrying across the silent room, "today marks the beginning of our joint operations exercise with SEAL Team 6. For the next 2 weeks, we will be conducting coordinated missions that will test both air and ground capabilities." His eyes swept across the assembled pilots, lingering noticeably on Sarah. "This exercise will separate the truly capable from those who have simply been given opportunities they may not have earned." Sarah felt the subtle shift in the room's atmosphere. Several pilots glanced in her direction, and she recognized the look. They knew something was coming. Admiral Hawkins had a reputation for making examples of people, particularly those he felt didn't belong in elite military positions. She had heard whispers about his opinions on women in combat roles, though nothing had ever been said directly to her face. "Captain Martinez," Admiral Hawkins called out, his tone carrying a sharp edge, "you will be leading the air support for tomorrow's operation. SEAL Team 6 will be conducting a simulated hostage rescue, and they will be depending entirely on your ability to provide precision cover fire and eliminate multiple ground targets without endangering friendly forces." The room remained silent. Everyone understood that this wasn't just a routine assignment. It was a test, and a deliberately difficult one. The mission profile appeared on the main screen, revealing a complex scenario with multiple moving parts, tight time constraints, and minimal margin for error. Sarah studied the details, her mind already calculating approach vectors and engagement sequences. "Sir, the mission parameters show a requirement for multiple low-altitude passes in a confined urban environment," Sarah responded professionally. "What are the specific rules of engagement regarding civilian structures?" Admiral Hawkins smiled coldly. "Captain, if you're not confident in your ability to execute precision strikes without detailed handholding, perhaps we should assign this mission to someone more experienced." The implication hung heavy in the air. The SEALs don't have time to babysit pilots who need extra guidance. Master Chief Tommy Rodriguez, the SEAL team leader, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He had worked with Air Force pilots before and knew the difficulty of the mission being described. The parameters were aggressive even for veteran pilots, and the timeline was compressed beyond normal safety margins. He caught Sarah's eye and gave her an almost imperceptible nod of understanding. "I'm confident in my abilities, sir," Sarah replied firmly. "The F-22's capabilities are more than sufficient for the mission requirements. My concern is ensuring the safety of the ground team, not my own limitations." "Good," Admiral Hawkins continued, "because Master Chief Rodriguez and his team will be depending on your precision. One mistake, one missed target, one moment of hesitation, and American lives could be lost." He paused for dramatic effect. "I trust you understand the weight of that responsibility." Sarah had faced challenging missions before, but she recognized this situation for what it truly was. Admiral Hawkins wasn't just assigning her a difficult task. He was setting her up for a very public failure. The mission was designed to be nearly impossible, with success depending on perfect execution under extreme pressure. If she failed, it would reinforce his beliefs about women in combat roles. If she succeeded, he would likely find ways to diminish her achievement. After the briefing concluded, Sarah remained in her seat as the other pilots filed out. Master Chief Rodriguez approached her, his weathered face showing concern. "Captain, I've seen that mission profile before," he said quietly. "It's based on a real operation that took place in Syria 3 years ago. 3 different pilots attempted it, and all 3 had to abort due to the complexity." Sarah looked up at him, appreciating his honesty. "How many attempts before someone succeeded?" "The 4th pilot managed it, barely. But he had the advantage of real-time intelligence updates and additional air support." Rodriguez glanced around to ensure they weren't being overheard. "You're going in with minimal backup and compressed timing. It's not impossible, but it's damn close. Master Chief, are you telling me this to discourage me or to help me prepare?" Rodriguez respected her direct approach. "Ma'am, my boys and I have worked with a lot of pilots over the years. We don't care about politics or who thinks what about who. We care about competence and reliability. From everything I've heard about your record, you've got both. But this mission is designed to break you, and we both know it." Sarah stood and gathered her materials. "Then I guess I'll have to make sure it doesn't break me. What do you and your team need from me to make this work?" "Honestly, precision like we've never seen before, and the ability to make split-second decisions under pressure. If you can do that, we'll handle our part." Rodriguez extended his hand. "My team and I are with you, Captain. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." That evening, Sarah spent hours in the flight simulator, running through variations of the mission profile. She practiced approach angles, target acquisition sequences, and emergency maneuvers until her movements became automatic. The F-22's advanced systems gave her capabilities that older aircraft couldn't match, but those capabilities would only matter if she could execute flawlessly under pressure. Her phone buzzed with a text message from her father, a retired Air Force colonel who had always supported her career despite facing his own challenges as a Hispanic officer in an era when diversity was even less common. "Heard about your assignment through the grapevine. Show them what a Martinez can do when pushed. We're proud of you." Sarah smiled at the message, then returned to her preparations. She knew tomorrow would determine not just the success of a training exercise, but potentially the trajectory of her entire career. Admiral Hawkins had made his intentions clear. He wanted to prove that she didn't belong in the cockpit of America's most advanced fighter. But Sarah had spent years proving skeptics wrong, and she wasn't about to stop now. The next morning arrived gray and overcast, with low clouds that would make visual identification more challenging. Sarah completed her pre-flight checklist with methodical precision, inspecting every system twice. Her crew chief, Sergeant Williams, had worked on her aircraft for 3 years and knew her standards for perfection. "Everything's running optimal, Captain," he reported. "She's ready to show those doubters what the Raptor can do." As Sarah climbed into the cockpit, she could see Admiral Hawkins watching from the tower. His presence felt like a weight on her shoulders, but she pushed the feeling aside. She had a job to do, and American lives, even in simulation, depended on her performance. The F-22's engines spooled up with their characteristic whine, and Phoenix prepared to face the most important test of her career. The F-22 Raptor lifted off the runway with the smooth power that Sarah had grown to love over thousands of flight hours. As she climbed through the overcast sky, her radar systems painted a picture of the training area ahead. The simulated urban environment had been constructed with remarkable detail, complete with multi-story buildings, narrow streets, and carefully placed targets that would challenge even the most experienced pilot. "Phoenix, this is Control," the radio crackled. "You are cleared to proceed to the target area. SEAL Team 6 is standing by for your support." Sarah acknowledged the transmission and banked toward the exercise zone. Through her heads-up display, she could see the mission parameters updating in real time. The scenario called for her to eliminate 7 specific targets while avoiding damage to 3 schools, a hospital, and several residential areas marked as civilian zones. The margin for error was essentially 0. "Phoenix, this is Shark Leader," came Master Chief Rodriguez's voice over the secure channel. "We're in position at the perimeter. The hostages are located on the 3rd floor of the central building. Our intelligence indicates 12 hostile forces with automatic weapons and possible RPGs. Sarah studied her tactical display, noting the positions of both friendly forces and simulated enemies. The SEALs would need to approach the building through a narrow alley, exposing them to crossfire from multiple directions. Her job was to clear those firing positions without bringing down the entire structure or hitting the building where the hostages were held. Shark Leader Phoenix, I show your approach route. Recommend you hold position until I can eliminate the rooftop sentries. Time on target in 90 seconds. Admiral Hawkins's voice cut through the radio chatter from his observation post. Phoenix, be advised that time is critical in this scenario. The hostages are reported to be in immediate danger. Any delays could result in mission failure. The pressure was intentional and obvious, but Sarah maintained her focus. She had learned years ago that the best way to handle pressure was to break complex problems into manageable pieces. Right now, her piece was putting ordnance exactly where it needed to go without hitting anything it shouldn't. She brought the Raptor down to just above the minimum safe altitude, using the aircraft's stealth capabilities to approach undetected. The first target was a simulated sniper position on a 4-story building overlooking the SEAL's approach route. Sarah locked onto the target with her 20mm cannon, adjusting for wind and the building's movement as she flew through mild turbulence. Target 1, engaging now, she announced, squeezing the trigger for a precise burst. The training round struck exactly where intended, marking the target as eliminated without damage to the surrounding structure. Through her targeting system, she could see the bright orange flash that indicated a successful hit. Excellent shot, Phoenix, Rodriguez confirmed. Target neutralized. We're moving to position 2. The second and third targets required a more complex approach. They were positioned on opposite sides of a narrow courtyard, with the hostage building directly between them. Sarah would need to engage both targets in rapid succession while maintaining precise control over her weapon systems. The slightest miscalculation could result in simulated civilian casualties. She rolled the F-22 into a steep bank, lining up on the second target while simultaneously calculating the approach angle for the third. The Raptor's advanced flight control systems helped her maintain stability despite the aggressive maneuvering, but the precision required was still entirely dependent on her skill and judgment. Target 2, engaging, Sarah called out, firing another controlled burst. The target flashed orange, confirming elimination. Without hesitation, she pulled into a tight turn that pushed the aircraft to its performance limits. Target 3, engaging now. Another successful hit. Admiral Hawkins's voice came over the radio with grudging acknowledgement. Phoenix, proceed to Phase 2 of the mission. The SEALs are beginning their assault. Phase 2 presented an even greater challenge. As the SEALs moved through the building, they would encounter resistance that required immediate air support. Sarah would need to engage targets in close proximity to friendly forces, some through windows of the same building where the rescue was taking place. The weapons required for this phase were precision-guided munitions rather than cannon fire. Phoenix, Shark Leader. We're encountering heavy resistance on the second floor. Need immediate suppression of the room marked Tango 4 on your display. Sarah checked her tactical screen and felt her heart rate increase. Tango 4 was a room on the second floor of the target building, directly below where the hostages were being held. The munition would need to penetrate the exterior wall, eliminate the simulated enemies inside, but not cause structural damage that would endanger the hostages above. Shark Leader, confirm you need suppression of Tango 4, second floor, northwest corner? Confirmed, Phoenix. We're taking heavy fire and cannot advance without air support. Sarah selected a small-diameter precision munition from her weapons bay and began her attack run. The approach angle had to be perfect. Too steep, and she risked hitting the hostages. Too shallow, and the munition might not penetrate properly. She adjusted her flight path multiple times, compensating for wind changes and the building's position relative to her aircraft. Phoenix, this is Control. Be advised your time window is closing rapidly. Admiral Hawkins added his own pressure. Captain Martinez, the SEALs are depending on you. This is what separates adequate pilots from exceptional ones. Sarah ignored the commentary and focused on her instruments. The targeting system showed green, indicating optimal parameters. She released the munition and immediately pulled into a climb to observe the results. The simulated explosion appeared exactly where intended, with assessment systems confirming enemy elimination and minimal structural damage. Outstanding work, Phoenix! Rodriguez's relief was evident in his voice. Target eliminated, no friendly casualties. We're proceeding to the hostage location. The final phase of the mission proved to be the most demanding yet. As the SEALs secured the hostages, enemy reinforcements arrived in the form of simulated vehicles approaching the building. Sarah needed to eliminate these threats while the SEALs evacuated their charges, all while avoiding a school playground just 2 blocks away where simulated children were present. Phoenix Shark Leader, we have 3 vehicles approaching from the south. Need them stopped before they reach the building. Sarah banked hard to acquire the new targets. The vehicles were moving through narrow streets lined with civilian structures. She would need to use her cannon with exceptional precision, timing her shots to catch the vehicles at points where collateral damage would be minimized. The first vehicle was approaching an intersection where a brief clear shot would be possible. Sarah dove toward the target, lining up her approach carefully. At exactly the right moment, she fired a controlled burst that stopped the simulated vehicle without damage to nearby buildings. The second and third vehicles required even more precise timing. They were traveling together, and she would need to engage both in a single pass. Sarah pulled the F-22 through a series of high-G maneuvers that tested both the aircraft's capabilities and her own physical endurance. The targeting solutions were brief and unforgiving. Engaging vehicles 2 and 3, she announced, firing 2 separate bursts in rapid succession. Both targets flashed orange, indicating successful elimination. Phoenix, Shark Leader. All hostiles neutralized. Hostages are secure and we're ready for extraction. Admiral Hawkins' voice came over the radio, notably lacking his earlier skepticism. Phoenix Control. Return to base. Mission complete. As Sarah turned the F-22 toward home, she allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. She had executed one of the most demanding training missions of her career under intense scrutiny and pressure. Every target had been eliminated, every friendly force protected, and every civilian area left undamaged. But she knew the real test would come when she landed. Admiral Hawkins had set this mission as a trap, expecting her to fail and prove his preconceptions correct. Her success would likely be met with attempts to minimize her achievement or find fault with her performance. The battle in the air was over, but the battle on the ground was just beginning. As the runway came into view, Sarah could see a crowd gathered near the operations building. Word of her performance had apparently spread quickly through the base. She noticed SEAL Team 6 standing together near their vehicles, and she wondered what their assessment would be. Their opinions would carry weight with Admiral Hawkins, whether he wanted to admit it or not. The F-22 touched down smoothly, and Sarah taxied to her assigned parking spot. As she shut down the engines and began her post-flight checklist, she could see Admiral Hawkins walking across the tarmac with several other senior officers. His expression was unreadable, but she sensed that their conversation would determine more than just her mission grade. Sarah climbed down from the F-22's cockpit with the same steady confidence she had shown throughout the mission, despite knowing that Admiral Hawkins was waiting for her with what appeared to be a prepared speech. The gathered crowd had grown larger, including not only the SEAL team, but also numerous pilots, ground crew members, and other personnel who had heard about the challenging mission profile. As she removed her helmet and approached the group of senior officers, Sarah could see Admiral Hawkins studying a tablet that presumably contained her mission assessment data. His face showed no emotion, which made his intentions impossible to read. Behind him stood several other high-ranking officials, including General Patricia Collins from Air Force Command, who had arrived unexpectedly during the mission. "Captain Martinez," Admiral Hawkins began, his voice carrying clearly across the assembled group. "Your mission performance has been evaluated by our assessment team, and I have some observations to share with you and everyone present." The crowd fell silent. Sarah came to attention, maintaining eye contact with the Admiral, while preparing herself for whatever criticism he had prepared. She had executed the mission flawlessly by any objective measure, but she knew that wouldn't necessarily protect her from biased evaluation. "The mission profile you flew today was based on an actual combat scenario that occurred during Operation Inherent Resolve," Admiral Hawkins continued. 3 experienced pilots attempted this same mission in real combat conditions. All three were forced to abort due to the complexity and risk factors involved. Sarah remained at attention, but she noticed murmurs from the crowd. Many of the assembled personnel were clearly surprised by this revelation. The Admiral had deliberately assigned her a mission that had proven impossible for multiple combat veterans. The fourth pilot who eventually succeeded in the real operation had the advantage of additional air support, extended preparation time, and real-time intelligence updates that you did not receive today, Admiral Hawkins went on. Your performance was executed under more difficult conditions than those faced in actual combat. Master Chief Rodriguez stepped forward slightly, his weathered face showing a mix of anger and admiration. Sir, if I may, he interjected, Captain Martinez's performance today was nothing short of exceptional. My team has worked with dozens of pilots over the years, and we have never seen precision like what we witnessed today. Admiral Hawkins turned his attention to the SEAL leader. Master Chief, please elaborate on your assessment. Sir, the captain eliminated 7 targets in a confined urban environment with 0 collateral damage. She provided close air support within meters of friendly forces without endangering a single team member. When we called for immediate suppression fire on Tango 4, she delivered ordnance through a window opening no larger than 6 feet while we were in the same building. Rodriguez's voice carried the authority of someone who had seen real combat and knew excellence when he witnessed it. Sergeant First Class Mike Thompson, the team's sniper, added his own perspective. Admiral, I've been in situations where air support saved our lives, and I've been in situations where poor air support nearly got us killed. Today, Captain Martinez's performance was textbook perfect. She made decisions under pressure that kept my teammates alive. Admiral Hawkins looked around the assembled group, clearly not expecting such unified support from the SEAL team. I appreciate your perspective, Master Chief. However, the purpose of this exercise was to evaluate whether certain personnel are truly capable of performing under the extreme pressures of modern warfare. General Collins stepped forward, her expression showing disapproval of the Admiral's tone. Admiral Hawkins, I've been reviewing the mission data, and I have some concerns about the methodology of this evaluation. The tension in the air became palpable. Sarah realized that a confrontation was developing between the Admiral and the General, with her performance as the focal point. She had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations, and now the politics of that success were being played out in front of dozens of witnesses. General, with respect, this exercise was designed to test combat readiness under realistic conditions, Admiral Hawkins responded, but his confidence appeared to be wavering. Admiral, this exercise was designed to be nearly impossible, General Collins replied firmly. I've spoken with the original mission planners, and they confirmed that today's scenario was deliberately more challenging than the actual combat mission it was based upon. Captain Martinez succeeded where multiple combat veterans failed, and she did so while being subjected to additional pressure and scrutiny. Chief Petty Officer James Sullivan, another member of the SEAL team, stepped forward. General, if I may add something. During the final phase when Captain Martinez was engaging those vehicles, she had to make 3 separate precision shots in less than 30 seconds while avoiding a school playground. The accuracy required for those shots was beyond anything we've seen in training exercises. Admiral Hawkins realized that his attempt to discredit Sarah's performance was backfiring spectacularly. Not only had she succeeded at an impossibly difficult mission, but she had earned the complete respect of the special operations team she was supposed to be supporting. His planned criticism was being dismantled by the very people whose opinions carried the most weight. Furthermore, General Collins continued, I'm disturbed by reports that this mission was assigned with the deliberate intention of causing failure rather than genuinely assessing capability. That type of leadership is not consistent with Air Force values or effective military management. Sarah watched as Admiral Hawkins's face darkened with anger and embarrassment. His plan to publicly humiliate her had not only failed, but had exposed his own biases to senior leadership and a large audience of military personnel. The crowd was clearly siding with her, and his credibility was being severely damaged. Master Chief Rodriguez turned to address the assembled crowd directly. I want everyone here to understand something. What Captain Martinez accomplished today was not just exceptional flying. It was the kind of precision and decision-making that saves lives in combat. My team and I have complete confidence in her abilities, and we would be honored to work with her in any future operations. The other SEAL team members nodded in agreement, and several stepped forward to voice their own support. Sarah realized that she had not only passed Admiral Hawkins's test, but had earned something far more valuable: the genuine respect of America's most elite special operations forces. Then, in a moment that would be remembered and discussed for years to come, Master Chief Rodriguez came to attention and rendered a perfect military salute to Captain Martinez. "Ma'am, it was an honor to work with you today." One by one, every member of SEAL Team 6 followed suit, standing at attention and saluting Sarah with the crisp precision reserved for the most respected military leaders. The crowd watched in stunned silence as America's most elite warriors publicly demonstrated their respect for her abilities and character. The symbolic power of the moment was unmistakable. These were not politicians or bureaucrats offering empty praise. These were combat veterans who had seen real warfare and knew the difference between competence and excellence. Their salute represented acceptance into an exclusive brotherhood that could not be awarded through politics or favoritism. General Collins joined the salute, followed by every Air Force officer present. Even some of the enlisted ground crew members rendered their own respectful salutes. In the space of a few minutes, what was supposed to be Sarah's professional humiliation had transformed into a powerful demonstration of support and recognition. Admiral Hawkins found himself increasingly isolated as the display continued. His attempt to prove that Sarah didn't belong had instead resulted in a dramatic demonstration that she had earned her place among the military's most respected professionals. The very people whose opinions mattered most in evaluating combat capability were publicly contradicting his assessment. "Admiral," General Collins said firmly, "I think this demonstration clearly shows the respect that Captain Martinez has earned through her exceptional performance. I trust that future training assignments will be based on legitimate operational requirements rather than personal agendas." Sarah finally spoke, her voice carrying clearly across the assembled group. "Thank you all for your support and confidence. It has been an honor to work with SEAL Team 6, and I look forward to supporting our Special Operations Forces in any way that serves our mission and protects American lives." The salutes were finally lowered, but the impact of the moment continued to resonate. Sarah had not only survived Admiral Hawkins's attempt to end her career, but had emerged with enhanced credibility and the unwavering support of the military community. The Admiral's discrimination had backfired completely, exposing his biases while elevating her standing. As the crowd began to disperse, Master Chief Rodriguez approached Sarah privately. "Captain, what happened here today will be talked about in the special operations community for years to come. You've earned something that can't be given or taken away: the respect of warriors who have seen real combat." Admiral Hawkins walked away without another word, his reputation severely damaged and his authority undermined by his own actions. Sarah watched him leave, feeling not triumph but a sense of sadness that such attitudes still existed in the modern military. She had proven her point, but the victory felt incomplete knowing that other qualified people might face similar discrimination. General Collins approached Sarah as the area cleared. "Captain, I want you to know that your performance today will be documented and shared with senior leadership. Excellence like what we witnessed should be recognized and celebrated, not hidden or diminished." As Sarah walked back toward the operations building, she reflected on the day's events. She had faced the most challenging mission of her career under hostile scrutiny and had not only succeeded but had earned recognition that would enhance her ability to serve effectively for years to come. The F-22 Raptor behind her represented the pinnacle of American military technology, but it was only as effective as the pilot who flew it. Today, she had proven that her place in that cockpit was earned through skill, dedication, and the highest standards of military professionalism. The salutes from SEAL Team 6 would be remembered as a defining moment, not just in her career, but in the ongoing evolution of the American military toward true merit-based evaluation. Admiral Hawkins had sought to shame her, but instead had created a powerful symbol of recognition and respect that would inspire other qualified individuals to pursue excellence, regardless of the obstacles they might face.